Hi, good morning, and happy Friday if you're watching with us live. Happy whatever day it is where you are if you're watching our playback. We are so glad you're here today for our Friday of the Not So Wimpy Teacher Experience. Today we're going to be talking about lesson planning. And I don't know about you, either you love lesson planning or you loathe lesson planning. So today, I'm really excited for what I get to share with you. We have some great tips and tricks for you that might even make your life a little bit easier. And if there's anything that can make my life easier when it comes to lesson planning, I am all about it. Seeing you guys in the comments, you're here bright and early, and we are so glad you are here for the Not So Wimpy Teacher Experience. As you guys are coming in, drop those greetings in the comments. And if you want, tell me your thoughts on lesson planning. Do you love it? Do you do it because you need to and you know it's important for your planning and for your instruction? Are you looking for ways to make it better? Where are you at with lesson planning? Let's see where you guys are watching from. Good morning. Ooh, from Vegas, Canada, Utica, New York. I have family in Utica, New York. Wonderful. So glad you guys are here. South Dakota. You guys are from all over Phoenix, Arizona, Reno, Nevada, Seattle, New Jersey. It's amazing how far the Not So Wimpy Teacher Experience has gone this summer. Love it. Michigan, Illinois, Oregon, New York. All right. And here I'm seeing some comments about lesson alone. We are not alone. Oh, okay. We can talk about this too. Welcome in. I see so many of you guys are popping in for the Not So Wimpy Teacher Experience. The entire month of July, we are hosting free professional development every weekday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. So I'm on the East Coast. I'm in South Carolina. So man, I've already had a very productive morning, and I'm so excited that I get to spend part of my day with you guys. If you haven't already, make sure you're signed up for the lesson planning. I'm reading comments and trying to talk at the same time. Make sure you're signed up for the Not So Wimpy Teacher Experience. If you go to notsowimpyteacher.com/experience, you will get on our email list to be sent daily reminders regarding these trainings. Now, if you've missed any of these, don't worry. We have all of these saved. We have a whole playlist over on YouTube, along with so many other great videos on YouTube. And you can also rewatch on Facebook. So if you're looking at this calendar and there's one that you missed and you're like, oh, that would have been really helpful for me, don't worry, go back and rewatch. Next week, we are sharing our last week of the experience, and it's going to be math based. It's going to be really focusing in on math instruction and getting that math workshop working super hard in your classroom. All right. I'm so glad that you guys are here today. Holy cow, there's so many amazing educators here with us today from all over. And looking at the comments, it looks like you guys really realize the value of lesson planning. And if you aren't already a huge planner, I love those of you with the honesty saying, I know it matters and I know I want to get better at it. I'm hoping today that I can give you easier ways to plan. That's what Cheryl is looking for. And I'm hoping our tips and tricks for you today are going to make the lesson planning process a little easier for you. So today we're going to talk about batching your lesson plans. And we're going to share some other time-saving tips. Now, batching lesson plans is something that you probably aren't super familiar with. It was something that I had never even heard of until we started working through this content. And I've started batching, and it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense because typically what educators are doing, you're preparing 1 week of lessons for every subject. So for me, I am a Sunday night girly. I would sit in my little space at home, and I would lesson plan for my entire week, top to bottom. And I know so many of you are going, yep, sounds like me. So I would sit there and I would say, okay, here's what I'm doing Monday in reading. Here's what I'm doing Monday in reading small groups. Here's what I'm doing in vocabulary. Here's what I'm doing in grammar. All right, time for math. Here's what I'm going to do in math. And I would plan a whole day at a time. If I really had my act together, I would plan a whole week for one subject at a time. So I would do my 5 days of reading first. And then I would stand up and take a break and walk around, because at that point my Apple Watch is yelling at me saying, lady, you've been sitting for too long. And then I'd come back and plan the next 5 days of the next subject in my schedule. And I mean, it worked out well because my husband would be watching football on Sundays. And so I had lots of peace to work in, but I would end up giving an entire day of my week, an entire day of my week to planning and making and finding. And then, you get sucked into the Pinterest wormhole where you end up over on teacher Instagram, and you're then like thinking about dinner and what you want to make for dinner. And then you realize you have an activity planned for Monday and you totally don't have the supplies for it. And you're thinking, okay, I can either go to the store tonight or I could go first thing in the morning. But oh man, the grocery store by the school doesn't open till 7:15. I know you guys have all been there, because this is what so many of us are doing right now. So I am really excited because today we're going to change the game. I have a whole system I get to share with you, and I really, really am excited to share it, because anything that's going to make it easier, I'm all about it. Planning this way, in where you are planning a whole week for every single subject all at one time, it's like making 8 cookies, but all different flavors. So think about like you're making a chocolate chip cookie and reading, and then you completely switch gears and you're going to make a snickerdoodle. Okay, math is a snickerdoodle. Oh, and then after that, I'm going to need to go back and do sugar cookies for social studies. Guys, think about the dishes that go along with switching gears in your recipes. Huge, huge amount of dishes, right? That's what our brain is having to do when we are lesson planning like this. We're jumping back and forth between subjects. We're jumping back and forth between the resources we're using, and we're wasting so much valuable time. So when we are batching our lesson plans, we're going to prepare a large set of plans for one subject. So instead of jumping around and making single cookies of all different varieties for all different student needs, we are going to just focus on making 24 chocolate chip cookies. And for me, that seems so much easier. I already have all my ingredients out. I can use the same bowl for each batch, right? I'm not going to have to do a ton of dishes in between. And I don't know about you, I love a chocolate chip cookie. So this is what we're thinking about today, the idea of taking that load and organizing how we're doing our lesson planning better. Now, I want to remind you, as we talk about some of these things, that this is suggestions for you. I know everybody has so many different expectations, so many things that you have to do. Everyone's lesson plans have to look different, and that's okay. But think about how you could make the system work for you. And even if you're just pulling pieces of this to make your life a little easier, that's what we are here to do. You guys are cracking me up with the cookies in the comments. I told you, I finish every single one of these lives very, very hungry. So why do we want to batch our lesson plans? Why do we want to change how we are addressing planning? Well, first and foremost, it's saving us a lot of time. Getting started in that lesson planning process takes the most time. And when you are switching gears, you're taking even more time. So when you're hopping from reading to math, your brain is going to take time to get there. And that task switching, it's decreasing your focus. And then you're wasting more time getting out the materials that you need. Think about it. When you go from your math plans to your writing plans, you then have to go get out any and all writing resources you're using, whether you have a curriculum you're pulling from, whether you're breaking open the Not So Bumpy Teacher writing curriculum units that you use. And then you got to make sure you have your centers activities. So when we're digging and pulling out different materials, again, taking out precious, precious time. We are all about batching because it's going to save you time. Think about this. It takes you cognitively less time to plan 5 weeks for one subject than it takes you to plan 1 week for 5 subjects. Think about that. You really could, because I believe in you. You can plan 5 weeks of amazing math instruction faster than you can plan a full week of everything. So why are we not doing this? Why are we not focusing on one at a time? Y'all, it is time that we take our time back. It's precious. You want to spend your Sundays with your families. You don't want to spend your Sundays lesson planning. All right, here are a few more reasons if I haven't won you over yet. When you are batching lesson plans, you're actually going to find that you are able to create higher quality lessons and higher quality plans because your brain is in that cookie recipe. So the quality of your lessons are going to increase. Also, because we are planning so far in advance, you have the time to really make sure you're planning great lessons, great activities. We're not going to do any more of that scrambling that happens because I know we've all had those mornings. I've had so many mornings where I get to school and it's like, so social studies is blank. So let's dig in and decide what I'm going to teach in social studies today. Batching is going to help you have higher quality lessons. You're going to be prepared. You're going to have it all. All right, it gives you the time to gather supplies. No more late night store runs to make sure you have what you need. No more laminating task cards the day you're going to use the task cards. I love this system because it also is going to give you a lot of flexibility when you are taking time off. I know it is so hard to take time off as an educator for so many reasons. But a huge one of this is the preparation it takes in advance to take time off. We aren't even talking about when you wake up and you're sick and you know you just can't go in. It is daunting to me to take a day off in advance because it's a daunting task to plan for that day. But if you have your lesson plans batched, you have all of it ready to go. It's also really easy to make modifications. We're going to talk through this. I know sometimes people look at the system and a question we get asked really, really regularly is, oh, well, what happens if you have to change it? Well, you do simply that. You can make those changes. And by batching your lesson plans, I really think it gives you the freedom for you to try new things. It really makes it so you're comfortable in all of your subject areas so you can start bringing in new things. A few questions I'm seeing that are perfect for me to hit right now. Christine asks, do you suggest starting now for the new school year? Yes, Christine, we're going to do a whole breakdown for you of the order we would start this planning in. And now is the perfect time. If you could start this before your school year even gets started, you're going to end up starting ahead, which we love. All right, I saw another comment that I wanted to hit. Do you use a regular lesson plan book? I am a paper planner. I love my paper planners. I tried to go digital last year and I couldn't do it. So I do all of my first initial batch planning in my paper planner, and then I do transfer them over to Google lesson plans, which are just the expectation at my school site. But I do my personal planning in a paper planner. All righty. Any more questions I can hit? Batching makes things so much easier. You guys are so right. A lot of you guys are talking about planbook.com. Also amazing. Planbook.com is a website that kind of digitizes lesson plans for you. All right, so let's start thinking about the structure. If this sounds like something your game and looking at the comments, you guys are into it, and I love that, you're going to want to write this down. So remember, we're going to do a lot of work on the front end. This is going to seem like a lot of work, but wouldn't you rather do a lot of work on the front end to have an easier rest of your year? That's what I'm aiming for here. I would much rather do the work on the front end, take the time, get it up and running, and then about 5 weeks into your school year, you're going to see it's going to become so much easier. Now think about it. This is going to look different in your classroom depending on what you teach, how you teach it, what your schedule looks like, what your structure looks like. Maybe you are one of our amazing special educators. Maybe you have a really different class structure. It might look different for you, and that's okay. But this is just our suggestion for how to start batch lesson planning. So what you're going to want to do is in your first week of this system, your goal is to write 5 weeks of math plans. 5 weeks of math plans. And when I'm talking about planning, I mean thinking about all of your pieces. Go ahead and take the time, set them up however you like your lesson plans to be set up. Have them fully sequenced out. 5 weeks of math plans. And I know what you're saying. Excuse me, I teach other things besides math. I know, don't worry. So what you're going to focus on in this first week, you're going to write 5 weeks of math plans and then 1 week of all your other subjects. Remember, I said it was going to be a lot on the front end, and then we're going to take a step back, and I promise it's going to get easier. Each week is going to get easier as we're getting the system up and running in our classroom. So week 1, you're going to focus on just 5 weeks of math plans. Start thinking about what resources you're going to use for each of those lessons. And what I like to do for this, when I'm batch planning, I set it in my schedule. I say, this is the time that I am going to work on this set of lesson plans. Set it in your schedule, make it really intentional, and give yourself the time to really focus on. Just like how our students get faster at things, the more time they spend practicing it, you're going to get faster at this. The more time you spend in this structure, writing your lesson plans like this, you will also get faster. So I always loved to plan on Tuesdays. I had another commitment at school where I was going to be at school late anyway. So I would set aside my planning time on Tuesdays. So this first Tuesday, I would sit down and I would have all of my math resources out. I would have my teacher manual, and I would have my Not So Wimpy Teacher math unit, and I would have my math centers. Everything that I'm possibly going to be pulling from as I am planning. I'm going to have it right there with me. So I'm not wasting time scurrying around trying to find it. And I'm ready to dive right in. And I'm just going to turn on my math brain. I'm just going to focus in. Okay, 5 weeks. Where am I starting? Okay, that's day 1. Day 2, what are we going to hit next? And I really like to save myself the time and do all the pieces. So I'm listing my standards, I'm listing my objectives, I'm listing the skill and how I'm going to reinforce that skill in my mini lesson. When I'm planning math, I'm even planning for my small groups, what activities I'm going to do with my small groups. So this first week on my planning day, I really dig into math. And I think you'll be surprised how quick it is to pace out 5 weeks of lessons. And then I'm going to roll over and plan Monday through Friday for reading that week, Monday through Friday for writing that week, and I'm going to get my whole week scoped out. So now by the end, I will have 5 weeks of math and 1 week of everything else. That's the goal for week 1. I love to start with math because it, in my mind, takes a lot to plan for math. It's not as quick as some of the other subjects, so I like to knock it out first. All right, so we roll to week 2. I'm planning on Tuesday, so my new Tuesday rolls around. Okay, I already have math planned for this week because last week I planned 5 weeks of math. So today I'm going to pull out my reading resources. I'm going to have all of the things I'm using to teach reading with. I'm going to have my read aloud. I'm going to have any teacher support documents I use. If I have things from previous years that I loved using, guess what? I'm going to pull those out too. everything I'm going to be planning my reading with. I'm going to have it ready to go. And I am going to plan 5 weeks of reading. Same thing I did the week before, except I have code switched. I'm really thinking about my reading instruction, my students' needs in reading. And then when I'm done with my reading plans for 5 weeks, even if I have a few gaps that I know I'm going to need to fill, then I am going to plan the rest. So I need Monday through Friday for writing, Monday through Friday of science, Monday through Friday for social studies, all the other pieces. So week 2, you're going to do 5 weeks of reading plans and everything else you're going to need for that week. But if you notice, we took it got a little smaller. The load got a little lighter because you already have planned math. So you didn't even have to touch math this week. Something you guys are asking amazing questions. Okay, what happens if a lesson didn't go well and I need another day? Just scoot it. Then you have 5 weeks and 1 day. It's really easy to make small tweaks and changes. Really is easy to make small tweaks and changes within the structure that you've already planned. And that way you're still meeting your students' needs. All right, so week 1 and week 2, this is where it gets great because week 3, only 3 weeks. You can do anything for 3 weeks. This is where the load is going to seem already so much lighter. I'm sitting down. I'm on my designated planning day. I'm going to start writing 5 weeks of writing and grammar plans. Again, I'm going ahead. I'm going to take the time to set them up however you like your lesson plans to look. So I'm not just writing ideas on sticky notes. I actually type all of this in to my lesson plan structure. We're going to talk a little bit more about a scope and sequence structure later on, but I'm going to take time. If I'm going to take the time to plan, I'm helping future me by doing this. So week 3, I am writing 5 weeks of writing and grammar plans. And then everything else I need. I already have math for the whole week. I already have reading for the whole week. All I have to plan this week is my writing and grammar, and I need 5 weeks of that. Science, social studies, and any other pieces that you are traditionally planning for. I love it. Janine says week 3 is easy if you use Not So Wimpy Teacher resources. Yes. And remember, when we're talking about these planning, it does not have to be coming from scratch. That's why we talk about getting those resources out that you like to use. It does not, you are not starting from scratch on these, friends, unless you're truly doing an overhaul, right? Think about the things you already have that really work. Think about resources you're already using. If you're using the Not So Wimpy Teacher grammar plans, boom, the sequence is all there for you. You can use this planning time just to pull everything out that you might need. Week 3, we focus on writing and grammar, and then make sure you have everything else buttoned up for the week. Week 4, and this will look different for your classroom, and I'll show you a different sequence for what this might look like. Week 4, you already have math, you already have reading, you already have writing and grammar. So week 4, you're going to write 5 weeks of science plans. 5 weeks, a month of science. And I know some of you are saying, what's going to happen if you don't teach science or if you teach science and social studies at the same time? I do science and social studies at the same time. So if you teach them separately, this is what you'll do. You'll do on week 4, you're going to plan your 5 weeks of science. And then the next week, you're going to plan 5 weeks of social studies. So we're on week 5. We are solidly into our school year at this point. Or if you start early, you are so ahead of the game, right? So think about it. By the time you get to week 5, everything else is up and running. You're on your 5th week of your math plans that you made 5 weeks ago. You're on your 4th week of your reading plans. You're in your writing plans. So many ways that this is going to make your life easier. All right, so here is a glimpse again of that schedule. Week 1, remember we said week 1 and week 2 are going to be the most daunting because it is the most content that you're planning for. But you're going to love this when I show you what happens next, okay? You are going to love this. Remember we talked about that alternative. So if you I teach science and social studies together and I alternate kind of my units. So week 4 for me, I am going to be planning my 5 weeks of that time in my day, whether it's science or social studies at that time. And then week 5, I get a break. I get a break, which means that time in my day that I've scheduled, that I've set aside and said, this is the time when I am going to be lesson planning, and I've committed to that like it's a meeting on my schedule. Week 5, that time is wide open. Sometimes I treat myself, since I like to plan after school. Sometimes I go get a pedicure on week 5. Other times I use week 5 to catch up on any grading that I haven't gotten done during my planning periods. Or maybe I'm going to do some collaborative pre-planning with a teammate. Maybe there's a project that I want to be working on. I love taking back that time and using it for myself. And I really love it when I can go get a pedicure on a weekday. So getting things started, that's going to be the hardest part. Starting this process is going to be the hardest part. You have to make next week's plans while also doing the batching. But we promise, stay the course. It's going to be worth it. Okay? Because if you think about it, after, I want to make sure I have the next schedule in here. Nope. Let me go back really quick, friends. Here we go. All right. So remember, week 1, we did it all, plus 5 weeks of math. Week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. When we get to week 6, guess what? You just start over. And week 6 is really, really easy because you have only math to plan for. You have all your reading, you have all your writing and grammar, you have all your science, you have your social studies. You only have math. This is when the system is working for you, because now each week you are only going to be planning ahead that 5 weeks. You're still doing those 5-week chunks or 6-week chunks or 4-week chunks, whatever's best going to serve you. You are just going to work in those chunks, and it's just a cycle, and it will just keep moving. Y'all's excitement in the comments about this is absolutely contagious. We suggest that you commit to a day and just put it on your calendar. Like I said, for me, Tuesdays are, at least last year, was my lesson planning day. I had a standing commitment at school, so I had to be there later in the evenings. I taught an evening class, so I was going to be there later on those days anyway. And I had this nice block of time that I was like just chilling in my classroom. So I really decided to capitalize on it. Maybe you don't have car duty on Mondays, and so you have extra time during your workday even to start on this. When you start, this might take a little bit longer. This might look like 90 minutes or even a little bit more. But I promise, once you get really settled into this process, and I mean, when you're at those weeks 4, 5, and then when the process is starting over on week 6, this is going to be really quick for you. Like we said, if you keep practicing, it's going to become easier for you. All right. Commit to it, put it on your calendar. Don't worry, I have a few more tips for you guys that's going to continue to help make lesson planning easier. We want to make sure that routines are our best friend. We've talked so much about routines in our Not So Wimpy Teacher experience. Routines are the way to go. You want every week to look really the same in your classroom. That doesn't mean we're doing the same things week in and week out, but we want our structures to be similar. My students know that when they come back from activity on Thursdays, we're going to be playing a phonics game. My students know that after my reading mini lesson, they are going to roll right to the first round of Reader's Workshop. My students know that every 2 weeks, we have a spelling assessment on Fridays when we come back in from recess. Building those routines in will make it so much easier for your students, and it's going to make your planning so much easier because you're going to find your plans are going to help support that routine. We also love suggesting using year-long bundles or curriculum. This is going to save the time of having to go hunt for resources every single week. For example, thinking about centers a lot of times, planning for centers, because you're going to have to be thinking about those things in the weeks when you're planning reading, in the weeks when you're planning math. Instead of getting kind of sucked into the vortex of Pinterest or digging into TPT and getting absolutely lost, if you already have, let's say, the Not So Wimpy Teacher math centers, you already have a collection of resources you can pull from, and it's going to make it that much easier to plan for that center time. Think about where you can pull resources and resources that you've used in the past that you really love. Using that year-long bundle or these curriculums that are already working so hard for you, it's going to make planning that much easier. We also really encourage you to use a lesson plan template that is going to allow you to save the components that stay the same each week. And everyone uses different lesson planning templates because if you want it to work for you, it's really important that your lesson plan is working for you, helping you stay on track, helping you remember where you are, and helping you think ahead during these planning sessions. We suggest that you use a lesson plan template. So if you have something that literally stays the same every single week, you don't want to have to be typing it over and over again. I've utilized a lot of different lesson planners on Google Drive before, which is great, similar to Planbook in that you can kind of just send things to the next day. Think about it. If we have to change a lesson, my math lesson absolutely bombed, and I'm going to just roll the next lesson over one more day and quickly tweak the lesson to change for students' needs. Or I know I need another supplemental lesson. Instead of having to worry about, oh my goodness, but I also don't have this ready for the next day and this ready for the next day, all I'm focusing on is that one little tweak to meet my students' needs. And having a lesson plan template that allows you to move and change and keep the components that are staying the same, it's going to make your life easier. All right, we also love a pacing guide. And guys, I don't know what I was doing for so many years. So many years. I'm going into my 7th year teaching. For probably the first 4 years, I was recreating the wheel every single time I went to type lesson plans, even if it was a lesson I've taught before. Think about it. I have some read alouds that I'm so emotionally attached to. I'm going to use them every single time I teach my author's purpose unit. I know you guys have resources and activities you feel the same way about, but I, for some reason, was retyping those lesson plans every single year. Y'all, what was I doing? I finally decided, I'm just going to save these lessons. And what I did, it worked really well for me. I have Google Sheets for each subject, and then I just use tabs at the bottom for each unit. And after I've done the lessons, and if I decide, yes, that's worked really well, I'm just building myself a pacing guide. And guys, now that I've done this for a few years and I have a really great idea of what works and what I like to use and the sequence that I like to teach my lessons in, now when I'm in my planning time on Tuesdays, a lot of times it's just going in and saying, this lesson is awesome and it's going to do great things for my kids. I can just copy paste, right? And then I can go in and open that PowerPoint, make sure it has everything my students are going to need, print my resources, ready to go. So work to create a pacing guide. And that's kind of what you're doing. When you're planning 5 weeks at a time, you're going to end up with a pacing guide that is, I promise, going to be really, really useful every year from this point on. All right. How are you going to save time lesson planning, guys? How are you going to do it? Step 1, we're going to batch. Remember that first few weeks is going to be daunting, but we know you can do it. Y'all, educators are a different breed, and we are so excited for you to try this because this batching is going to really make a difference in your planning. And we are reclaiming Sundays. We are reclaiming our time. You're going to use weekly routines for every subject. I promise it's going to help you and it's going to help your kids. You want to use year-long bundles or curriculum tools that you really, really like and really make a difference for your kids. Because again, pulling from those is going to be much quicker than going and hunting for things every single week. You're going to use a lesson plan template that works for you and makes it really easy to transfer pieces that are staying the same week to week. You're going to work to create a pacing guide for each subject so you know where you're heading. And you can do all the above. So which one are you thinking? You're just going to choose one of these? You're going to try and hit them all? Where are you guys at? I'm telling you, y'all's joy today is absolutely contagious. Y'all are the best. Doing it all. I'm so excited you guys are excited to try this. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of nervous to talk about it because I was like, no teacher wants to be told they have to do 5 weeks of lesson plans and plan a whole week of everything else. But y'all, you get it and you see it. I promise this can make a difference for you in your lesson planning. Loving these ideas and loving this community. Now, if you guys have been with us all month and really all week, we have been celebrating Jamie's birthday. It's our birthday week and we have had so much fun this week. We have done 40 giveaways this week. If you watched any of our previous lives, we have been popping balloons. The balloon carnage is still everywhere. I keep finding little balloon pieces, but I'm really excited for today's giveaway because today we are giving away a $200 Amazon gift card. We are so excited to gift to a teacher today. So here's how we're going to do this. In the comments, let me know. Do you use a paper or a digital planner? I'm going to pop myself back up on the screen. Going to wait till we have lots and lots of comments in there because we love giving goodies to you guys. We're going to get, tell me in the comments, do you use a paper planner or a digital planner? I feel like we should have like a drum roll. Like this is the biggie. We've been working up to this all week with our giveaways. All right, what do you use, a paper planner or a digital planner? Like I said, I start on paper and then I transfer to digital. I do love, I love my pens. I use stickers, like I'm all about it. Wonderful. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Keep those comments coming. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to scroll in the comments and then I'm going to open and click. And that is going to be our winner. Okay, ready? I'm over here. I'm going to do a little scrolling. And then we're going to pick our winner of our $200 Amazon gift card in celebration of birthday week here at Not So Mumpy Teacher. You guys ready? Keep them coming. Scrolling in the other direction, scrolling some more, a little bit more scrolling. All right, and the winner is in 3, 2, 1. First one I see. Amy Lasky! She uses a paper planner, but she's thinking of changing. Amy, I also hope you're thinking of trying batching this year to make that lesson plan process so much easier. Congratulations, Amy. My heart is racing. I'm so excited. You are the winner of a $200 Amazon gift card. Congratulations. I hope you can use this to buy some goodies for your classroom and some goodies for yourself because you definitely deserve it. All right, Amy. Make sure you email the team, jamie@notsomumpyteacher.com, so they can set you up with your gift card. Congratulations, Amy, and thank you so much for being here with us and watching with us. Yay! Oh, this is wonderful. I feel like the Publishers Clearinghouse, how they like come to your house and give you a check. That's what it felt like all week, getting to share resources with you guys. Congratulations, Amy, and thank you all for celebrating the fun. Y'all are so sweet, congratulating her. I'm telling you, this is the best community to be a part of. All righty, now, we mentioned those year-long bundles. I do want to mention some of our bundles that we have over on Teachers Pay Teachers right now. These bundles, again, have everything you need, so it can make it really, really easy for your planning. Again, as you're planning math, you're going to want to put out all your math resources. Wouldn't it be nice if you already had so much you could utilize? So some of our options, we have writing bundles for full years of writing instruction. Grammar bundles. We have a third grade spelling bundle that is amazing. My third grade heart loves the new spelling curriculum. We have reading unit bundles, vocabulary bundles, math curriculum resources, full year bundles of math curriculum, as well as math center bundles that are perfectly going to match your standards for what you're covering in your specific grade level. And y'all, there is so much more. All of these are over on Teachers Pay Teachers, or you could go to notsowimpyteacher.com/store. If you guys are already using any of these resources in the comments, tell us which resources of these do you really, really enjoy? What works really well for you? I know people are always looking for recommendations and suggestions. So if you're using these, what do you like to use? Alrighty. If you guys enjoyed this training, don't forget, we have 2 other full professional development courses. These are video courses. They're self-paced, and I love it because it's like chatting with a friend. We have the Math Masterclass that's going to change your math instruction for the better. It's going to give you tips and advice to get a strong math workshop up and running in your classroom. If you are interested in the Math Masterclass, go to notsowimpyteacher.com/awesome. We also have the Writing Masterclass. Same thing. It's going to completely overhaul how you teach writing in your classroom. If you go to notsowimpyteacher.com/yes, that's where you can hop on to our list for the Not So Wimpy Teacher Writing Masterclass. I have done both of these classes, and they are awesome. Like I said, I teach 3rd grade. I'm going into my 7th year of teaching. And even now, I did the Math Masterclass this summer, and I'm already like, oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. Why didn't I think of that? These are awesome resources. You get bonuses and goodies in these courses, along with being part of our Not So Wimpy Teacher community. These are great options. All right, it is bingo time. Today's secret word is word number 4, and it is the word summer. If you guys have been keeping up with your bingo board and you have a bingo, after the live ends today, I am going to take a few questions. Make sure, I don't know why my computer keeps popping me over. Hi. Make sure you are dropping your bingo card in the description or in the comments. So after live ends, there's an option for you to add a picture. If you have a bingo, drop them in the comments. The team is looking. We have a few more Teachers Pay Teachers gift cards to give out to any bingo winners. Today's secret word is number 4, and it is summer. If you need the bingo board again, go to notsowimpyteacher.com/bingo. All righty. Our next trainings are going to start up again on Monday. Next week, we're looking at math. We're going to really dig into math instruction, give you some great ideas as we send you guys off to a new school year. So next week is our last week. Make sure you have it on your calendar. If you want, go to notsowimpyteacher.com/experience. That is how you can get reminders for all of these trainings next week. Remember, if you missed any, don't worry. They're all over on YouTube, and you can re-watch on our channel. Alrighty, guys. Any other questions I can answer for you about batching and lesson planning? I would love to talk a little bit more about it. Let me see any other questions. Jenny says, how do you plan for back to school activities and routines? Jenny, I have to talk about a resource. We just launched it like this week. It's brand new. It's our back to school bundle. It is a fantastic collection of resources. It is over on our Teachers Pay Teachers store. And it has so many great things that you can implement in your classroom during the beginning of the year. I also really love, and I was given this advice once that said, think about what every single student will need to do in your day. So going to the bathroom, walking around the classroom, sitting in a seat, sharpening a pencil, getting a drink of water. Think about all those things a student's going to need to do in a day, and then make a list of how you're going to teach them to do it. I always start from that point when I'm planning my teaching of classroom routines, because you want to make sure you cover all of it. All right. Ooh, great question, Laura. Storage ideas for what you've planned in batching. Okay, that is one thing that a lot of people, I've seen them shooting through the comments questions about where we're putting things after we've planned them. Okay, so you've planned 5 weeks of math, which means you're going to need places to put things for 5 weeks of math, right? Maybe you're using a worksheet as an assessment tool, your centers activities, things you have coming up. I have like the multi little drawer carts. They're on wheels. I have those that I really like to pop things in. And I use a lot of binder clips and I use a lot of sticky notes. So I'll typically bundle like a whole week of math together. So I'm like, this is all of everything I'm going to need for week 3 of math. So when that week rolls around, I can grab the entire bundle of week 3 math and then put them in. I use book bins for each day. So Monday's math, take it out of the stack, put it in that bin. Again, planning ahead of time, it means you're not going to have to do the long wait at the copy room, because you have time in advance to run those copies and prep the things you're going to need. All right, Angel. Oh, Angel, the TPT, our birthday sale did end last night at midnight. Shelly, you are not a slow planner, Shelly. You are a meticulous planner, and that makes all the difference. If you know that you typically take longer to do these planning activities and you know you're going to want to spend time on this, there's nothing wrong with that. At the beginning of the year, I start with like 90-minute sessions just so I'm getting used to that amount of time. But if you feel like you're going to need like more like 2 hours, again, put it on your calendar. Make it like this is a standing commitment that you have each week. Put that chunk of time on there, and you might find that chunk of time gets smaller as you're getting into this routine of batch planning. All right. Any other questions? Oh, Tiffany says, do you get all your copies, centers? Yep, Tiffany, I try and get it all ready. And especially things that are like laminated, or if you're pulling from a curriculum that you already have, if you've purchased like the math centers, for example, I use all of our math centers. I laminate them. So then next year, or like, for example, this coming school year, I already have all my multiplication centers laminated and ready to go. Then it just comes down to how do you want to store them in your classroom so they're out of your way until you need them. I like to have all my copies. After my day of planning on Tuesday, I'll then use my like planning period during the school day to then run all the copies that I planned out. And then I can use my subsequent days to, if I have any like blanks I need to fill in, I can use those planning periods. But the bulk of that work, if you're getting it done on your planning day, it means that you're going to get your other days of the week back. You're going to get your Sundays back. All right. Any other questions? Jenny says she's always trying to do better than the year before. I love it. That makes all the difference. Amy, to claim your gift card, you're going to need to email jamie@notsowimpyteacher.com. With your name, the team already knows you're our winner, but they're going to be looking for an email from you. jamie@notsowimpyteacher.com. That's where you need to go to get your gift card. Wonderful, wonderful. More about using Google Sheets. That is just something that worked really well for me in terms of organizing things. I like Google Sheets because I can access them from lots of different places. So if I'm sitting in a meeting and someone mentions something, I can pull it up really quickly on my phone. It works on an iPad, works on a computer. Again, I would just kind of make my columns that match my categories. So in my lesson planning, I would have to include standards, objectives, lesson, and assessment. And then I would even put links to the resources I'm going to be using if they were digital resources. You can make sheets down at the bottom in Google Sheets, which is really nice for that bigger scope and sequence we encourage you to build by doing like a sheet for each unit that you're working in or a sheet for each 5 weeks chunk. That has really helped me organizing these big batched plans. All right, any others? Margaret uses hanging folders by weeks, and she's already prepped for 8 weeks. You go, Margaret. Love it. What else you guys are curious about? Yes, Beth, it is so nice to have my copies done ahead of time. Makes life really easy. Ooh, plan your parent newsletter, Courtney. That is a great idea. Something to hit ahead of time. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for joining today. Thank you for helping us celebrate birthday week at Not So Wimpy Teacher. Don't forget, we have one more week of trainings coming up. We have a whole other week all about math coming to you next Monday. We'll be here same time, same place, 12 Eastern, 9 Pacific. Really excited to talk with you guys then. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we hope you have a not so wimpy day. Don't forget to drop your bingo boards in the comments.